If this is true, it's wild, although I won't be complaining if it is true. When Tesla starts advertising after Elon gets his new compensation plan, we will all feel very suspicious, says James. It was in response to this post. In my eyes, this whole game now makes complete sense. Elon knows full well how Wall Street works and what would happen to the stock if margins were compressed and EPS went lower, and he's playing the public markets like a fiddle. He's implying that it is much better for Elon to receive the new compensation plan when Tesla stock is lower, because then it's easier to make the stock go up a lot. Tesla management underestimates how uninformed the average person is. People generally do not know that they can buy a Tesla on the cheap today, or that their potential fuel savings could essentially pay for the car. Why should people need to learn about this stuff from a friend of a friend's grandma? Why won't Tesla tell them directly? This is, quite frankly, unacceptable, says James. Shame, Elon Musk, do something, he says. And that post was in response to another friend said he pays $250 a month in gas, could almost get a free Model 3 at that rate. If you watched my channel from day one pretty much, you have heard me say many times that Elon knows how to play the game and he plays it when it's necessary, but is Elon playing games here? I do like this argument. He was against advertising when he had a compensation plan, and they do advertise already. I don't know what you are saying. Elon could have had Tesla advertise in a big way, and the wait times would have been even longer, which means the prices would have been even higher, and the margins would have been even more astronomical for some period of time, which would have probably made the stock go even higher. He did not do that. Now, many will make an argument that today it's a bit different because Tesla could generate more demand and then increase production a little bit faster. If you follow Troy closely, you know that Tesla is pretty much demand limited and not production limited, based on his opinion, with the exception of the refresh Model 3 and the Cybertruck. When you look at the inventory in terms of days of inventory available, it's not a big number that Tesla has, but in Europe, for example, Tesla does have roughly 30,000 units in inventory. And sure, some of Tesla's inventory already has buyers, but most of Tesla's inventory does not have buyers yet, according to Troy. About 2/3 of Tesla's inventory does not have buyers yet. But also it's important to keep in mind that some of that inventory is in transit. So while there is a small chance, I think, that Elon could be playing a game here, I don't think it's likely. I think Elon is just pushing this strategy as far as he can push, doing price cuts. I think he also understands that doing price cuts, this strategy is not going to be viewed favorably by Wall Street. I don't think that's why he is doing it, but it is at the back of his mind, probably. I think what the new compensation plan is going to do is it's going to motivate Elon to focus more on Tesla. And as a result of that, Elon could be spending some time thinking about, okay, should Tesla advertise? If yes, how should we advertise? Okay, let's try a massive, big creative campaign and let's see how it goes, and I will personally pay attention to it. So it's not necessarily that Elon is not doing any of these things that some investors want Elon to do. It's more that maybe he's not spending as much time on Tesla. I think he is still spending more time on Tesla than during the whole Twitter drama last year, because Twitter has its CEO now. But I don't think Elon is spending as much time on Tesla as he did before the whole Twitter thing started. Now, if it is true that Elon is playing some games with us here, I don't mind it, because I'm accumulating Tesla stock, so that means I'm buying it at cheaper prices right now. I know many of you would hate that because many of you have stopped accumulating, but I really wouldn't mind if Elon was deploying this kind of strategy, but I really don't think that's the case. Now, this could be really bullish for Tesla in China, or it could be nothing, but this is supposedly a line or a crowd of people waiting for Tesla to deliver their vehicle. James is definitely excited about this. I noticed something a bit off. The staff are wearing these 3M clothes, but someone says it could be Tesla upselling 3M tint. They did that in Malaysia. I'm not sure about that part, but maybe it's true. And I do not know how normally this location looks. For example, here in Vancouver, there's this company ICBC, which is run by the government, and they take care of everyone's mandatory car insurance. So if you go there, it looks always busy. There's always a line. So I'm not sure if this is really bullish. Maybe it really is. If it is, then Tuesday numbers should be really good. So we'll find out very soon. Brian from My Tesla Weekend has a very good point here. Tesla struggled to reach scale and profitability. Others are experiencing that struggle now. But Tesla had the luxury of not having to compete with Tesla. I do not envy anyone trying to do that. Interestingly, the BYD Seal, which is a direct Model 3 competitor, is 5,000 pounds, I guess, more expensive than Model 3 in the UK. ID7 is $15,000 more expensive. And Brian made a comment about the BYD Seal. It looks to be a pretty solid car. It's a bit heavy, but you can bet the next iteration will be vastly lighter and every bit as good. I found a person having issues with Cybertruck after 48 hours. I cannot believe it. Just 5 hours ago, my Cybertruck was functioning perfectly, parked at 88 miles battery left, but now it's completely lifeless. I have tried everything, but neither the wireless phone key nor the key fob can bring it back to life. I reached out to Tesla for assistance, and they suggested towing the car to the service center to diagnose the issue. I don't know how long they're going to keep the car there. I only got this car 48 hours ago, and already it's giving me trouble. Feeling so frustrated, I called AAA to have them tow me to the nearest charging station, hoping that would solve the problem. Has anyone else ever experienced something like this before? So Tesla said to tow it to a service center, but he towed the car to a supercharger. That's probably not a great idea, unless the supercharger was super close to where the Cybertruck was, and the nearest service center was really far. Okay, then I can understand. You give it a try, maybe it will fix it, but probably not, but maybe. Anyway, issues like this are totally expected. It's still in the early ramp, so naturally you are gonna have defects and issues. I expect to see many more people like that, especially as production ramps. Eventually, all of these are going to be solved. China's BYD plans to end production of the pouch-type batteries used in its best-selling hybrids as the automaker seeks to address durability concerns and the risk that they could leak. If you remember, Elon Musk has also stated in the past that Tesla strongly recommends against the use of pouch-style batteries due to the probability of a jump in battery temperature being dangerously high. So really, it was just a matter of time before this happened. The discussion about the long-term changing EV market thesis continues on X. Sawyer joined the conversation. He says, I think there is a few reasons why some people choose hybrids over EVs. EV prices are lower than they have ever been, but the perception is the prices are still very high, including the point of sale $7,500 EV credit. You can get every Model Y trim in the US for under $40,000 with inventory discounts. Another thing is charging infrastructure concerns. Non-Tesla charging networks have not been very reliable, which instills doubt in the technology, but some are reliable and commonplace. Tesla supercharger network, of which there are over 55,000 charging stalls worldwide and growing, has an uptime rating of 99.95%. To be fair though, says Sawyer, Tesla could absolutely do a better job educating people on the benefits of owning an EV, how affordable they have become, how easy it is to charge, and that EVs are cars that you can use in your daily life, even in cold areas, etc., etc. I think Tesla has started that process with ads, and more will hopefully be done. If Tesla seriously advertises, then this needs to be addressed. There's a comment here. You are forgetting one major problem. People do not want to be bothered waiting 20 to 30 minutes to charge. Elon claims people don't mind, but it's a major deterrent from a lot of people I talk to. But these people don't realize that when you daily drive, you just charge at home, so you literally spend no time charging anywhere else other than at home, which takes no time to do. It's only during road trips, and unless you go on road trips every single week, overall, the time that you spend charging will be less than the time you spend going to the gas station, filling up, coming back from the gas station. I haven't been to a gas station in such a long time. It was a pain compared to what it's like owning an EV. And I didn't really think that going to a gas station was a problem, but now I think it is. Gary Black also joined the conversation. Those who believe Tesla price cuts will bankrupt legacy ICE are deluding themselves. When Tesla cuts EV prices, they cut revenues on 100% of their business. For legacy ICE, it's a tiny fraction of their profit streams, given legacy's strong ICE cash flows combined with Tesla's refusal to communicate the benefits of EVs broadly to ICE customers. Legacy ICE is not about to go bankrupt anytime soon. Instead, as James points out, legacy ICE will pivot to plug-in hybrids near term and BEVs longer term and use their superior marketing skills to compete with Tesla. The market realizes that legacy auto growth rates are near zero and applies 6 to 8 price to earnings ratios to their businesses. On the other hand, Tesla's 2024 PE is close to 60 and implies a 30 to 35% future growth rate. The market, while often irrational short term, is highly efficient in the long run. Not always. Certainly not always. I mean, you look at Tesla in 2019, and if the market really priced in Tesla's long-term future, the stock would have been higher before it went up something like 10 times in a very short period of time. So there are certainly inefficiencies. Tesla's mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. To do that, it's far better for Tesla to push legacy ICE to convert their ICE customer bases to plug-in hybrids and ultimately BEVs than to push them into bankruptcy. Tesla's decision to open up their supercharger network to its ICE competitors' EVs is also consistent with the mission. The final piece to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy is a broad EV industry educational campaign that makes crystal clear EVs are far cheaper to buy and maintain than ICE vehicles, stresses charging convenience and range versus ICE vehicles, demonstrates EV superior performance and over-the-air tech updates, highlights EV semi-autonomous driving capabilities, and talks of the environmental benefits. If Tesla doesn't take the lead on this education, someone else will and get the credit. Speaking of ICE vehicles and price cuts, I think there is one thing that Gary's argument is missing. Yeah, when Tesla cuts prices, it does cut revenues on 100% of its business, and supposedly legacy automakers can just keep losing money in perpetuity on their EVs. I don't think they can keep losing money forever. At some point, they have to be profitable. They have to make money. But if the prices remain low indefinitely, that means they will never make profits because Tesla is just more efficient. So I don't think that Gary's projection here is definitely the only thing that's possible. I think there are some legacy automakers that are highly likely to survive, especially if they sell in the luxury segment. For example, BMW sold a record number of 2.5 million vehicles in 2023, and in Q4, BMW's BEV sales were 18% of all of its sales. And I think a Tesla buyer and a BMW buyer, these are very different buyers, generally speaking. If you buy a BMW, a big reason why you are buying it, I think, has to do with you wanting higher status. It's a status symbol. And one thing that I studied quite a bit, and where a large portion of my expertise personally is marketing, and people do so many things to increase status, particularly not decreasing your status. Maybe not so much increasing your status, but not decreasing status is very important to many people. I was talking to one mother and she said, no, Matt, that does not apply to me. I just drive a minivan to drop off my kids at school. And I said, well, if you drove some fancy car, that would actually decrease your status with other moms, if you pulled up in a Bentley, let's say, and she had the money to do that, that wouldn't really look good on you, would it? And that's when she reluctantly agreed. Anyway, I think BMW overall also made the right call with launching a direct sales model across Europe. So I think BMW has a chance to survive. I would not invest in BMW. I want to make that very clear. But BMW is not really competing so much on price. Tesla though is. Tesla is going after the mass market, and that is a very different market. That auto show that Tesla is participating in Washington, DC, you can actually go and sit in the Cybertruck, and you can also go for a test drive with a Model Y, Model S, or X. The refresh Model 3 is available as well, but I don't think there are test drives available for the refreshed Model 3. Someone is charging their Model Y in extreme cold. We have heard some people complain about superchargers supposedly not really working, Tesla sucking when it comes to charging. Well, you can charge a Tesla vehicle when it's minus 31 Fahrenheit. When you charge in cold weather, make sure that your battery is always preconditioned. And I always check if I will have a charger available for me. So even if I know how to drive to the supercharger, I still go through the Tesla's navigation system. Cybertrucks were spotted in China. Looks like they were airdropped. This is going to be a bit like an advertising campaign in China. Maybe it will help increase China's sales a little bit. Joe Tagmeyer actually found exactly when the Cybertrucks were packaged. This picture is from January 18th.
And look, the haters are going to continue to hate. But ultimately, it's really the next phase of the Tesla growth story. I mean, the price war, that Game of Thrones in China, I believe 95% of that's done. Margins start to stabilize. And if you look, this was a record China quarter. So the irony is that coming into this year, the bears thought this was the year the Tesla story was going to ultimately break. Instead, actually got stronger. And I believe 2024 is going to be a very strong year for Tesla as more and more they're doubling down on EVs. I think 2024 margins plateau and then ultimately start to uptick. That's the key of the story. Key to what I view as a re-rating on the stock, and ultimately EPS moving higher. By Thanksgiving, we believe they announced a sub $30,000 vehicle that's produced out of Mexico as well as in Austin. And that's important to get to the masses. But also, they will be profitable on a car like that over the next 12, 18 months once that ramps, because they have something that gives them the power. The margins, the software, the story they have gives them the opportunity to really crush the competition. I think that both sides, they're doing it. Cybertruck and then a sub $30,000 vehicle. That's sort of the 1-2 punch where Musk continues to play chess while others play checkers. Remember, a lot of the smartest people I know are Tesla bears. But in Tesla, the bulls are really the ones that make money. And I think if you look at how it's all played out, they view it as an auto company. We view it as a disruptive technology company.
Yeah, even the Tesla bears that made money shorting Tesla stock once, in the end, usually they actually end up losing money because they think, oh, it's going to go down even further, and then they get crushed.
What do you think is the biggest risk to the company right now?
Look, I would say, as much as people say Musk is I'd say Musk is the biggest asset. And despite all the negative headlines that we've seen, investors understand with Musk, this is not an individual that's going to be reading books on a Saturday night. So the biggest risk continues to be China, because China is the hearts and lungs of the Tesla growth story, just like Apple. So any sort of ratcheting up a geopolitical US-China cold tech war, that's probably what I view as the biggest risk, especially with that price war that's definitely started to stabilize. I think at the end of this year, it's $1 trillion market cap. And that's why I think if you go back to a year ago, the haters were thinking Tesla goes under $100. Instead, it's a stock that basically doubled. And as it all plays out, betting against Musk and Tesla, it's been like betting against Tom Brady in Super Bowls.
Yeah, in general, I think that China remains a risk for Tesla. But in the worst case scenario, if Tesla somehow gets kicked out of China, then that means probably no Chinese automakers will be able to compete outside of China, which I think in the end, it would be basically, no change in Tesla's long-term potential, because I believe all of the biggest competition for Tesla is going to come from China. But Tesla will not be competing against Chinese automakers within the US probably, unless they set up big factories here locally, but that does not seem very likely that BYD would want to do that, although they are looking at a factory in Mexico. So it could happen. But in Europe, yeah, the Chinese will be competing against Tesla fully. And like and subscribe if you haven't yet. My name is Matt Posius, and I will see you in the next video tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.